Hey, welcome back to Conversations with Lorie and Don't Let the Old Lady In. My friends, I'm so glad you're here. Wherever this conversation has found you, whether you're walking the dog, driving the car, on your porch, folding laundry, maybe enjoying a quiet cup of tea, would you join me? I'm just looking at this cup and I just realized how faded it is. It's part of the merch I got when I first started my business 16 years ago. And it has my name on it, it has a little logo, and on the back it says, health is not only to be well, but to use well every power we have. Florence Nightingale, my nursing role model. So with that, let's get started. So let's just take some deep breaths. You know, life has a way of moving fast, doesn't it? There's always one more email to answer, another errand to do, another phone call to make, and a person that needs something from us. But sometimes we become so full that we forget to make space for ourselves. So that's what these conversations for Lorie about. It's about getting together with yourself. So let's pause together and let's take a nice, slow, deep breath in. Bring in all the energy and blow out all the stress. And notice your shoulders. Don't you bring your shoulders, make them softer. They've been carrying a lot lately, ladies, haven't they? More than they need to today. So let's just let them soften just a little bit. So good. Now just ask yourself one simple question to start out with. You don't have to answer it out loud. This is just between you and me, or just you. Let it rest gently in your heart as we talk. Here's the question. Has your world quietly become smaller than your potential? Let's think about that. Just pause. I mean, I hear this from ladies as we get older. This happens. I was talking with a woman not too long ago, and she had done so many beautiful things in her life. She raised a beautiful family. She had a career, built a business, took care of her aging parents. She was the dependable one, the one that everyone called. Is that you, maybe? From the outside, her life looked so full and important, but somewhere in the middle of our conversation, she became really, really quiet. She smiled, but her eyes filled up with tears. And she said, Lorie, I don't really know who I am anymore. Have you ever had a moment like that? If you have, drop a comment down below, or just drop it in your head. Just have some awareness. Maybe you didn't have those exact words, but perhaps you caught yourself wondering, when do I stop doing things? Or when do I start doing things that make me feel like me? Remember me from yesteryear? Remember before you had those kids? Remember that younger self? She's still in there. Just notice what came into your mind during this, ladies. No judgment, just curiosity. I don't mean to say ladies because I welcome men. Don't Let the Old Lady In podcast really was based on Clint Eastwood's Don't Let the Old Men In, so all are welcome. One of the things I love the most about getting older is becoming wiser. We begin to recognize patterns, don't we? Here's one I've noticed over and over again. In my years as a nurse, a healthcare advocate, a longevity coach, women rarely lose themselves all at once. It doesn't just happen overnight. It happens quietly, a little bit at a time, one responsibility, one sacrifice. One postponed dream, one season of putting everyone else first, until one day we look around and we realize our calendar is full, but our souls feel a little bit empty. Take a breath with that one. Does that resonate with you? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe your answer is no, Lorie. I feel more alive than ever, and amen to that, sister. If that's true, I love it. Because you know what? There's a lot of ladies on this conversation, and men, I hope. But we're not assuming we're all in the same place. We're all individuals. So some simply, it's just an invitation to notice where you are. So let's take another nice breath and pause. Before we go any further, I'd love to check in. I'd love you to check in with yourself. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how connected do you feel to yourself these days? Not to your family, not to your job and responsibilities, but to you. How responsible are you to you in taking care of yourself? And here's the important part. just notice it. Don't try to change it. You are where you are, and sometimes things happen to us, but they're actually happening for us. And so let's just stay in a state of awareness. That's always the first step in doing anything. I think we spend so much of our lives measuring things, our blood pressure, our weight, our calendars, but we rarely ask ourselves, how connected do I feel to the woman I'm becoming? Maybe that's an important measure too, right? Especially as we get older. Sometimes some of us have a little more freedom. Let's measure how we can become more, how we can grow. Because healthy aging isn't just about living longer. It's about staying connected to the parts of that curious, hopeful, playful, and fully alive you. And that's really what these conversations are about. Not becoming someone new, but remembering the woman you have been all along. She might have got a little lost or off track or got too responsible. I started to watch that series Madison. Darn, that Michelle Pfeiffer, when she was going through her initial grief period, she said something that stayed with me. She said, I'm going to go live reckless. I'm going to be reckless now that she's older. Think about that. Let's live adventuresome. But anyway, I want to ask you one more question before we continue, ladies and gents. What would it look like if this next chapter of your life became your healthiest? Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually too. That's my end game for everything, is developing the inner spirit. So just carry that question with you. This is all about asking questions of ourselves. I always say as a coach, your answers, because you're the expert of your life and you've got it to change it. But sometimes your answers are in the questions that come up. So because I have a feeling we're going to discover your answers together through these questions over the number of these conversations we'll be having. I'm covering every type of health, wellness, medical thing we're going to be able to cover. So let's keep going here a little bit. Let's talk about looking in the mirror. All right? You know that it's not always, I just think there's something many women experience but rarely talk about. It's not a health condition. It's not something your doctor can diagnose. It's much quieter than that. It's the slow realization that somewhere along the way, you stopped asking yourself one important question. What do I need? Not what does my family need? Not what does my boss need? Not what does everyone expect of me? Just what do I need? Just think about that with a nice deep breath. Last week I talked a little bit about stillness. We find a lot in stillness. What do I need? What do I desire? You got to get quiet and hear it. So when was the last time you honestly asked yourself that? Just ponder that for a little bit and notice what comes up. Where do you feel it? Sometimes we feel these things in our bodies, lady. So together, let's take another slow, deep breath. And now let's finish this sentence silently in your mind. Right now, I need more blank. Fill in the blank just with the first word that came to you. Could be rest, could be joy, could be adventure, could be connection, could be strength, confidence, time, whatever it was, just trust it. Sit with it for a while. Our first answers sometimes are often wiser than we give them credit for. Sometimes I call them God winks. I just had a God wink the other day and I was like, whoa, it was spot on. I remember meeting a woman several years ago. She was recovering from a serious illness. Physically, she was doing great. She was getting stronger every week. Her lab work looked better. Her doctors loved it. She was walking further. The doctors were just so pleased with her progress. But during one visit, she quietly said to me, Lorie, I don't want to go back to the life I had before I got sick. And that kind of surprised me. So I asked her, what do you mean? She said, I was so busy taking care of everyone else that I forgot how to take care of myself. And I don't want to recover just to go back. Where did I hear this? Just to go back to living that way. I never forgot those words, and I actually experienced that myself. with a big health issue. And when you go through these things, you start to look back and say, wait a minute, what contributed to this? I was just giving everything to all, but that's a whole nother topic. We'll get into that. But she realized actually that something many of us don't realize until life forces us to slow down. I got slapped on my back after a major surgery, and I had to reevaluate everything. It's how I started this business. I got the Godwink. But being healthy isn't just about getting your body back. It's about getting your life back, who you are in your core. And as a nurse, I've spent decades caring for people during some of their most vulnerable moments of their lives. And I've really learned that illness has a way of bringing incredible clarity. People don't usually say, I wish I'd answered more emails. No, they don't say that. They don't say, I wish my house had been cleaner. Nah, not saying that either. They don't say, I wish I'd spent more time worrying. Instead, they talk about moments. They talk about relationships. They talk about dreams, places they hope to visit, time with people they love. And sometimes they simply wish they'd be kinder to themselves. That has stayed with me, not because it's sad, because it's honest. And it just reminds me that our health is about so much more than avoiding disease. It's about protecting the life we're here to live, isn't it? Taking a little pause and a little breath, and I just want to ask you another little something. So if someone who loves you were describing you today, what would they say brings you joy? You can drop any of this in the comments. I'd love to hear from everybody. I really do. I love to hear your comments. It actually inspires me to do different kinds of content. But I wonder if your answer would be the same as theirs. Something to think about. Or have you been busy taking care of life that you've forgotten what lights you up? There's no right answer here, ladies. Sometimes we have to go a little digging into ourselves to find this out. Again, it's that awareness thing, which is where change begins. And stillness helps us become more aware, doesn't it? But here's something I want to hear today. I want you to hear today. You haven't missed your chance at all. You haven't fallen behind. I don't care what age you are. You don't have to become the woman you were at 35. You have the opportunity to become the woman you're meant to be now. You may take some great qualities from when you were 35 and leave some that not so great. But I actually think that's one of the gifts of getting older. We stop trying to impress people, don't we? We become more interested in living honestly. We begin choosing what matters instead of what simply fills our calendar. Don't we become more discretionary, don't we? How are we going to use our energy, and with who? And maybe that's what this chapter is inviting you to do. Not become someone different, become more fully present. So I'd love you to carry one more question with you this week. And that is, what part of you has been patiently waiting for your attention? Maybe it's your body. Maybe it's your creativity. Maybe it's your friendships. Maybe it's your faith. Maybe it's your sense of adventure. Yeah. Or maybe it's simply the quiet voice inside that's whispering, it's my turn now. My turn now. I know it's my turn now. I'm living my best life. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, it's amazing. It takes a little work to get here. I will say it wasn't easy to go from all that I went through to here, but it's definitely worth the inside job, I call it. So let's keep exploring that together. Just one small step I'm going to ask you to do here. One small step. So I give you a question a week, and then I give you one small step. Can I just share something that has taken me a long time to learn? I can be a little thick sometimes. Most meaningful changes in our lives don't begin with great decisions. They begin with tiny moments of awareness. One little thought, like I said, I got that God wink. One choice, one different response, one small act of kindness toward ourselves. I think we sometimes believe that if we are going to change our lives, we have to overhaul Start a big new exercise program. Clean out the closets. Lose 20 pounds. Meditate for an hour every morning. Become a completely different person by Monday. Oh, no. No. What if becoming healthier, becoming healthier was more meaningful, or actually meant you became more fully yourself? And it didn't start with doing more. What if it started with simply paying attention? That's it. Just paying attention. So I'd love you to do something with me. Think back to the question we asked earlier. What do I need more of right now? What was your answer? Drop it in the comments. I would love to hear. We're safe here, aren't we? Yeah. Now ask yourself one more question. What's one small thing? I like to give like one small step for us to do, because a little action doesn't hurt anybody. What's one small thing I could do this week that moves me one step closer to what I desire, what I really want? Not 10 things, just one small step. Small steps over time make for big change, right? So for instance, if your answer was rest, maybe it's just going to, spend a little more time, maybe going to bed 30 minutes earlier each night. Try it. If it was strength, maybe it's simply going for a 10-minute walk. Some people I coach can't do the walk. I say, do your stairs. People doing a lot of weight loss, that's a tough transition. So just do stairs. Maybe pick up a pair of light weights. If you have cans of soup and you haven't weightlifted and you don't weights, that can start you, right? One small step. Because light weights, it can actually do some work. So if it was connection that you're looking for, maybe you take one step, and that is calling a friend you've been a little bit distant from. That's a great thing to do. Sometimes I've heard great stories, people connect on Facebook, but the point is that you choose. You choose your one step that you want to do. One of the things I love most about coaching women is watching what happens when they stop trying to be somebody else. They become more consistent, and consistency changes lives. Not because every day is perfect, but because every small choice becomes a vote for the woman you're becoming. And I believe you guys are becoming amazing, amazing women. But first, just take that one action. Very often you take one small action and you will be amazed at the difference in your life. So I want to end with this epiphany for you. What if you feel like your life is getting smaller, but you have more potential, but you got those limiting beliefs, round and around and around we go, and they're holding you back. So maybe your one small step is you start moving away from one of those limiting beliefs, like, I'm never too old to try. And you know what? You just might find the confidence, excuse me, you might find confidence that quietly follows that. So that's your step for this week. You've got your question. Sit with it. Spend it. Maybe one step is just spending 5 minutes still. Quiet. No electronics. Nothing. If you want a good little book that I pull out a lot of times in the summer, I don't know why summer, but it's called Stillness Speaks by Eckhart Tolle. It's excellent. And maybe that is something you do, where you just spend 5 minutes reading that. It's a way to kind of calm yourself and find your stillness. So I hope this conversation resonated with you, and I hope you share it with people that might benefit from it. I will continue these conversations every week. Don't let the old lady in. More importantly, let the amazing, magnificent you in, so that I can see you next week and you'll have one step. And I hope that you bring that with you next week, or you drop a comment that says, here's what I'm doing. I'd love to hear from you. So until next week, stay well, be happy, And if your circumstances are a little tough right now, I hear you. One small step at a time, ladies. That's all it takes. I'm with you, and I look forward to seeing you next week. And until then, be well.